Is that as good as it's going to get, Ollie, today? Does the world look better upside down? Does it look better upside down? Okay, so you're going to sleep your way through this. One of us probably has to do some work. What do you think? You're going to keep an eye, watchful eye from over there, are you? Okay. Let's hope it lasts. Hi there, it's Rosie Duck Designs here. Thanks ever so much for joining me today. I'm back to share with you a project using some items, can't think what the word is, products, that's the word I'm looking for, products from the new catalogue. Just a couple of things I wanted to share with you before we get started. The Paper Pumpkin Hugs from Shelley kit is still available to order, and if you've not met this before, there are a couple of videos that I've done on it already, so if you just check back on my YouTube channel you will find them. But we did speak in the last video about the fact that in the new catalogue there is a coordinating suite, which is the Bird Ballad suite, which actually coordinates with the Paper Pumpkin kit. So if you've got one of these and you then buy the stamp set from this suite, then there's no reason why you can't use it, and some of the other little items, these are embellishments and things, no reason why they can't be included in your Paper Pumpkin cards. At the end of the day, it does come with instructions, but it's perfectly okay to mix it up the way you want it. You've got a good foundation of some cards, but you can make them to suit yourself. So I'm not using this suite today, but I just thought I'd share with you. These are one of the little cards that we actually made it on stage back in April. I'm losing track, it's the middle of June already. This is lovely scalloped ribbon, lace ribbon, and hey, I actually managed to stick this on a card and it kind of looks okay. No one was more surprised than I was. And these little birds here, these have been coloured in with some stamping blends. So we'll be looking at this suite another day, but I just wanted to bring it to your attention in respect of how it works well with the Hugs from Shelley kit. And I've just done another couple of cards from there, which are in the box. So these are not, this is not me following the instructions, although to be fair I probably wasn't as good at doing that when I was doing the video about this, but I did try to keep up with the instructions here. But on this one, you see I've dispensed with the pink fluffy cord. So I'm not a great cord person, I have to say. Looks fantastic. If it works, you can work it, but so I've done away with that. But what I have done is, as I did before, I've painted in the eggs using Pool Party, and then I actually used my Wink of Stella brush on my edge of the Pool Party stamp pad and just picked up the colour, and so they twinkle a little bit. And then this is the bird from here, which I've then stamped out in Early Espresso, which is the little stamping ink spot that you get with this kit. And I've then coloured that in using Pool Party and Petal Pink, I think, the stamping blends, and that's Crushed Curry on his beak. And I've just fussy cut around that and stuck him on the nest, or her on the nest, whatever. I got a bit carried away with that and chopped his legs off, but I thought that worked quite okay on the nest. So that's one little idea. With this one, this is nothing to do with the Bird Ballad suite, but this is just me mixing it up a little bit by adding an extra bird and just putting a little bow on that rather than the big sweeping amount of cord that we tied around that one. Slightly more simpler for me. And then finally, this is using one of the little embellishments. So this is a little key, and I've just added some clear gems on that just to give it a bit of bling, and I've added Wink of Stella onto the flowers. So just a little idea of how you can sort of dress the kit up to suit yourself. Just share with you very quickly the little embellishments that come with that set. So you've got some little bows, some very pretty flowers, some leaves which have got the eyelet on there so you can hang them from some cord, and you've also got the little key. So they're nice on their own. Even if the suite is not for you, they would make nice little embellishments on other projects. Sorry. I was getting a bit carried away there. You just want to sort of move them about. Have you got them now? Oh, good. This is what happens when your director sleeps through it, isn't it? So that's that. Clear that away. I'll put that in there for now. Then I did mention Follow Your Art suite. I've got to find them here, which is this one. I have to say I've seen some lovely cards made with this already. I'm still sticking to my thought that it probably is not something that is way up there on my wish list at the moment. So what I thought I'd do is, there's lots of ideas that if you follow Pinterest, check that out if you're looking for ideas for this suite. But I thought I'd just share with you this particular card that we made on stage, and again I've just coloured this in using some Stampin' Blends just to give you an idea of what just a very small element of it looks like. As I say, really lovely ideas that I've seen, but I've kind of got my eye on a lot of other things before I get this. So watch this space, but it won't be just yet. But as I say, I just wanted to share that with you. We've got the new colours which we did introduce ourselves to in the last video. I'm going to try and remember what they are. Rocco Rose, Terracotta Tile, Pretty Peacock, Seaside Spray, and Purple Posy. Purple Posy is the one that we're having issues with the quality of the ink, so this is still not available as a stamping pad or in the stamping refills, but you can however get it in the Stampin' Blends and the Stampin' Right markers. So this is just something I did using the Stampin' Blends to just give you an idea of what the colour is like, and this is on the background of Highland Heather, so slightly lighter mauve here or purple here, but the two actually do work very well together. But you can see the card itself, and I'm guessing therefore the ink pad is going to be a paler mauve, which again is going to coordinate really well with that. But this is the effect that we're getting with the Stampin' Blends. So again, I just wanted to share that with you so that we're not all wondering what Purple Posy looks like in ink form. And it's a great way forward for the time being until the ink pads come through, so that you still be able to use it as a colour, particularly if you like mauves and purples and lavenders, which I have to say I do. So I'm really glad I invested in those. The Seaside Spray, I found that was quite, I've lost the word again. I'm looking for inspiration. I'll try to explain it right this way. I had a card to make using the elephant punch and the little elephant stamp set. It's actually for somebody we know who's literally just had the arrival of 2 grandchildren within the last couple of weeks. One's a girl and one's a boy. So I thought, do you know what, I'm going to put it all on one card. So I did the white frontage with the blue and pink elephant. Neutral, that's the word I'm looking for. It's quite a neutral colour, so although it's a bluey colour, it's more like a bluey grey. So I kind of went for that just to give it a little bit of a colour uplift, but it still really worked very well with the pink and the blue. So again, first time I've used that, and as I did that last night and I'm doing the video today, I just thought I would share that one with you. So put that away. Saturday afternoon, I've had lunch, but I haven't had enough coffee, so that's probably and this is water. Anything could happen. So what I'm going to do today is use the Floral Essence stamp set, which is part of the Perennial Essence Suite. So we have the Designer Series paper, which, as you can see from the bits of paper I have here, is already being very well used. Quite Monet looking, Monet inspired. Whether it is or not, I don't actually know, but that sort of reminds me of Monet's paintings. So again, we've got some nice neutral backgrounds or very floral front of the paper. It's a lovely dark and moody, I think that one is. Like me when I've not had coffee. And then we've got a bright side to that one. And I've got this lovely green on here. And the flip side to that is that one. So I've got to say, these are my sort of colours, my palette of colours that I really like. So hence I've already sort of well and truly chopped it. Right, so we've seen those. We've got this one. Very vibrant daisies on that. And then we've got this very nice, hardly patterned, well, it is patterned, but there's not a specific pattern on there. Again, I can't think what the word is, but I'm sure you know what I mean. Loving that as well. I love the pink, the different pink colours in this. And then again, we've got these nice abstracts. That's the word again I think I'm looking for. So we've done that one. We've done that one. Yeah. No, we've not done this one. So very bright, that, isn't it? Like that. So we've got the Designer Series paper, and there's lots of different colours here to coordinate with. We've got Balmy Blue, Blackberry Bliss, Blueberry Bushel, Calypso Coral, Crushed Curry, Flirty Flamingo, Mossy Meadow, Old Olive, Petal Pink, So Saffron and Whisper White. So there is something for everybody's taste in that. And this also coordinates with a Vellum cardstock, which we can find on page 169 in the catalogue. And this features the colours of Old Olive, Petal Pink and So Saffron. Again, this is already being well chopped. So we've got So Saffron. We have Old Olive. And we have Petal Pink. So for this card today, we're going to use a piece of the Designer Series paper, and we're going to use 2 pieces of the Vellum. So I'm going with the Petal Pink and the Old Olive. Let's hope you stay asleep. So what I'm going to attempt to make, she said, is a version of this card. So I have to say that in June, I've suddenly found that I have a number of anniversaries that have kind of crept up on me that I need to make cards for. So I thought this was a nice set for an anniversary card. And so just before I move on to that, this was the sample that we made up at On Stage. This is the first time we met this stamp set. So again, we've used one of the bigger stamps. Here we've used this stamp just as a background, and then we've used this stamp in conjunction with the coordinating punch to then make the flowers, which is what we're going to do today, hopefully. So I'll put that there to try and remind myself where I'm going with this. So the first thing I'm going to do is mention the vellum. It has like a dull side and a bright side. So the bright side is the side that you want to use. It can, when it's laying like that, they look pretty much the same. But when you hold it up to the light, you can see the brightness on this side and the dullness on here. So just be aware of that. Yes, I am speaking from experience. So I'm taking hold of this stamp here. And then I'm going to use some Blackberry Bliss ink. And I'm going to stamp out 6 of this stamp because I want 3 flowers. Now again, this is something, I know it's obvious, probably obvious to most people, not always to me. The stamp, we're going to go in that direction to cut it out, sorry, the punch. You're going to use the punch in that direction to cut the stamp out. So ideally, if you stamp so that the image is going to be facing in the right direction for you cutting it out, it just makes your life that much easier. So I love this colour, but not one I've really used since its introduction last year. So it's really nice to get a suite that you can step outside of what you normally use and start using a different colour. I probably should have moved that down slightly, so I'm not going to take any chances. I'm just going to move this around the corner. So far so good. Now because it's on vellum and it's a quite a slippery surface, that will not dry in the same way that it dries on normal cardstock. So my advice is don't immediately start punching that out. Put it somewhere safe just to let it dry. So I'm going to put it up there just in case, and hoping it doesn't fall into the water. So is that. And I'm going to do some other stamping on this card. No, not that card. This card. All I did was I took the leaf punch and I literally just cut out the leaves. So I didn't do any stamping on the leaves. But on this one, I'm going to actually stamp the leaves as well, because actually this stamp will coordinate well with this leaf punch. So I'm going to put that on a block. And I'm going to take my Old Olive vellum. It's easier to see, I think, on this one, but you see, can you see the dull side there? And as you flip it over, you've got that nice brighter side. So again, I'm going to go down the, how long? 20 already. So it will probably do what it normally does and cut out, and we'll have to stick them together, but we do our best. Right. That's all I can do. Rarely is it good enough, but that's all I can do. So again, your punch is going that way. So ideally, if you punch your or stamp your images that way, that will make life easier. And I'm going to do 6 of these. So either way, it worked both ways. I just thought I wanted to just do something a bit different. Because otherwise, if you keep doing the same thing, you start to feel like you're working on a production line rather than being creative. So that is done. So again, I'm going to leave that to dry. Put that up there. And so then we can start to make the card. So I've got some Blackberry Bliss, which is 8 by 6 scored at 4 on the long side as normal. Just creasing that down. And then I've got a piece of, this is the designer series paper that I've chosen for this one, and this is 3 3/4 by 5 3/4. And I'm going to stick that on with some snail. Making sure you put it up the right way, so ideally the flowers are going upwards, so that's how you want your flowers to go. And I'm going to make this one a little bit different. This I put a little flower using the stamp set. I've used that one of the floral stamps, and then put the crushed curry in the middle, so that's Flirty Flamingo crushed curry. I'm not going to do that on this one. I'm going to put a layer of the vellum, and I've cut that at 5 3/4 by 3 3/4, and I'm going to actually put some snail to stick it onto the back base card, just in the middle where you're not going to see it. So I've got enough on there to hold it, but obviously I'm not sticking it around the edges because otherwise you will see the lines of the glue. So this is going to be sort of freestanding, albeit that it's stuck in the middle. Put that on there. And because I want this to actually be seen, I've cut this at a smaller size, and I've cut this at 3 1/4 by 5 1/4, so that when I stick that on the middle, you're actually getting a nice border of the pink vellum. Because if you go the normal size I would have it, it would sort of be like that, and I'm kind of thinking, what's the point? So this is going to be for an anniversary card. So I'm going to put happy anniversary. I also want congratulations. I don't think I've brought enough blocks in with me. Never mind. So using Blackberry Bliss, so stick that in the middle. Now, as you notice, I've stamped it, I've immediately turned it over, and it's perfectly okay to work with, but that isn't the case with the vellum. And I'm going to just stick that in the centre. So that's the inside of our card is done. So these are dry. So I'm going to cut out a couple of these and then we're going to pause the video just so that I can then cut them all out, because there's no point in you sitting watching me cut them all out. Just before I do that, I'll cut a couple of the leaves out as well, and then, as I say, we'll pause it. I'll then cut it all out and then we'll stick things together. So I've got the design, I've got the coordinating punch, and if you do it the way I've done it this time, which is not the way I've done it before, but you see how easily it just slides along and you can cut the next image out. And I'm going to carry on doing that and cut my other 4 out. And I'll just grab this, and I will grab the leaf punch. And so on. So I will be back when I've cut the rest of these out and we will make the flowers up. So we took the precaution of actually stopping the video, and I'm going to stick the two together in case we run out. So I've taken the opportunity to clear away some of the papers and things I was sharing with you earlier, and I've cut out the rest of the flower petals and the leaves, and I've actually stuck 2 of the flowers together, leaving this one so that I can share with you how I've done that. So firstly, taking a bone folder, all we're doing is just slightly curling the petals, and there's various ways you can stick the petals together. Was that what we call a late entrance, was it? You couldn't settle, could you, before we started? This is the Ollie entrance, is that right? Are you ignoring me now? Oh. No, I don't think we want that on camera, thank you very much. This is not quite the start or the middle of the video I quite anticipated. Thank you, Ollie. Lowering the tone. Right, so as I was saying, there's several ways you could stick these together. You could use some multi-purpose glue. You could use some snail. I've opted in this case for some glue dots, and glue dots actually work very well sticking vellum together because they're quite small and unobtrusive. Now, this is probably the professional way of doing it. Whilst we would normally say take whatever you're trying to stick to your glue dot and then remove it, the vellum I've found is actually quite slippery, and that hasn't really worked that well for me. So I'm going to try and be professional, and we all know that that's not going to work. But taking this take your pick tool, we can actually lift the glue dot off and place it in the centre. But I'm still kind of getting my fingers involved, so I have to be honest, the easiest way I found it is just pick the corner up with my nail, and I'm putting it down on the centre, and then we're putting one on top of the other, but obviously off centre to each other, so you've got your complete flower. So we have our 3 flowers, which is what we have here. If I didn't say, and I can't remember, but the congratulations stamp that I used in the inside of the card, that's come from the beautiful Bouquet stamp set, which carried through from last year's catalogue, which if you've been following me for any length of time, you'll know that I regularly use this stamp set because it's got some fabulous sentiments, certainly ones that I use all the time. So as I've said many times before, if you are new to stamping, then one of the things you really do need to seriously think about is just getting yourself a stamp set that covers various occasions that you're going to make cards for, so that you've just got a sentiment to go to as and when you want to make a specific card. So I'm using, as I say, the congratulations one from this stamp set, but I've also used the happy anniversary one, which is there. So now the next thing, we put the card together, and now I've just got this square that I've cut out of Blackberry Bliss, which is 3 by 3, and it's on this that I'm going to stick the flowers. But in the first instance I want to stick the leaves, and again I'm going to use glue dots for this. I love a challenge, and I'm going to stick one glue dot per leaf. Ideally I want to stick them the right way round, so just make sure you are sticking the bit that's actually got the stamp on it, not the underside. It's just like that. I'm not sure all that screaming and noises. There's some very odd noises happening. We know it's not you, Ollie. Hopefully it's from outside. So on the paper, at a quick glance, you may just pick it up on the wrong side. So that's the wrong side, a bit duller, and that's the side with the stamp on. I'm emphasising this because I do know how easy it is to get hold of the wrong side. But that probably won't surprise you. So I did two sort of sticking one down and one up, and I think I'll probably stick with that design. Got a straight glue dot down here, so I'm sticking that on the centre of the flower, but also on top of the other leaf. Taking my own advice, I'm going to make sure I stick it up the right way. So that will go there, and I'm just going to seal that now with some snail. So I'll have one over here. I'm going to stick with that format for that, the two on the top and one at the bottom. Another glue dot on there. Now this one I only put one leaf on it, but I'm going to go with 2 on each. I'm going to be generous on this one. I'll stick one on there. Without sticking it down, just place it over the top and see how you want that to work. So I think I want that to go maybe more down here, and then I'll stick another one maybe over here. If you find that you've got a stray leaf that isn't working, then there's nothing to stop you just getting your craft scissors and just chopping one of the leaves off before you stick it down. Yeah, I'm happy with that, so I'm going to put some snail on that. Putting it the right way around would be good. There we go. And then this one, I'm going to start with putting one over that way. It really is just a matter of how you think it looks best. You can always trim the stalk as well if you think it's coming out a bit too far and you're going to see it on this leaf. Sorry, not leaf, petal. You could just trim the end of it as well. So I'm going to have that like that. So we'll have one coming across down here. I think that would look quite good. She said, with hope. Again, I'm going to trim that so that I make sure I catch enough of the glue dot with the leaf. So I just want to check that. Yeah, okay, I'm happy with that. So let's put some snail on that. So we've got our flowers, and I want to add those to the card. It doesn't matter that this will fit into the envelopes, so this size envelope, and the envelope is slightly larger than the card based on the sizes that I've made the card. So if the leaf overlaps very slightly, it's going to fit quite happily into the envelope. And it just gives that little bit of extra texture in the sense that the leaf is actually coming off of the card. So the next thing I'm going to do is stick that onto the card, excuse me, using some Stampin Dimensionals, because I just want to give it some height, give it that little bit more interest. Oh, you're looking quite engaged up there. I hope you're paying attention. I might be asking questions later. What do you think? I might need your opinion in a minute. There's an important decision to be made. You up for the challenge? True cat form, you're going to get back to me, aren't you? I know. So we have our card with our flowers. In fact, there's two important decisions to be made. So I'm going to place that towards the top of the card, but leaving myself enough room for a sentiment at the bottom. So that's the first bit done. They're slightly, probably a little bit too curled, but when they get in the envelope, that will flatten them down. Okay, you're not staying for the decision. You can't get the help when you need it, can you, in this life? Or you're coming down to get a closer look. So I have pre-stamped using the Happy Anniversary stamp from the Beautiful Bouquet stamp set onto a piece of Whisper White cardstock. And I have cut that out using my layering oval framelits. And I've gone with the smallest one. Now the first decision to be made is, am I going to put it on this one? Or am I going to put it on that one? And I think a lot of that is going to depend on how much room I've got and what it looks like. So if the cat's not interested, I might need your input in this. No, you can't give me the thumbs up until you've seen this one. No, no. I agree with you. So we're going with this one, which is believe. Pick that up later. I think it's that one. It's that one. So these are really good because you can lay them down before you cut out the card. But also if you've got some spare bits of card, as we all have after crafting, they're always handy to just cut out pieces and try them before you actually commit yourself and stick them. Because sometimes what you think is going to work doesn't quite work, or another option looks a bit better. So particularly when you're trying to size things up, it's quite good to just play with it before you make your final decision. So stick that down with some snail. All I've got to hope now is that I find my layering oval frame it before Ollie does. So stick that on there. Now because I've got a lot of height with the flowers and I've got this raised off, I'm going to go with that just stuck straight onto the card. I would normally put the sentiment and I'd raise it up, but because I've got sort of a layer on here, I think raising it up is actually going to compete with the flowers, so I'm going to go straight onto the card. No right or wrong, it's just I've looked at it and that's kind of how I think it's working a bit better. So put that on the bottom there. So finally we have to put, we don't have to, you can leave it like that if you wish, but ideally we've got a couple of options of what we're going to use for the centres. Now these are, I've got this written down somewhere, possibly not. Yes, I have. Floral centres. These come with the, oh, not come with, they're part of this Floral Essence or Perennial Essence Suite, which is here. And these are they're almost very authentic looking middles for flowers. So they're quite fluffy, quite felty. I'm actually quite a fan of them. I think they look really good in the centre of a flower, and I don't know if you can see it on here, but there is some darkness coming through which you would get in the centre of a flower. It's not perfect, you do get this variation of colour, so that is one of the options. So let's just, I'm not going to unstick it, let's just put one of those on there. So that would be one of our options. The other thing that we have is our faceted gems. So we had these coordinate very well with the daisy punches, and we have the medium-sized daisy punch as well this year. But we've had these from last year, so we've got the clear ones and we've got the gold ones. I have to say I've tried the clear ones, and I have to say I don't think they particularly work with this, but the gold ones work really well. That one has lost its stick a bit, so I'm just going to put that on there. Now, I don't know what you think. My personal thought is it worked, the fluffy one worked quite well with that one. I'm thinking that one works better with that one. Am I getting a nod of approval? I have to say I've not actually, I'm going to backtrack on that. I've not tried this one. I've tried this colour with the this colour background. I've not tried it with this one. Let's give that a go. Getting a bit ahead of myself there now. Actually, I'm thinking that one looks better. What do you think? Yeah, I'm going to go with that one. Yeah, I'm getting myself a little bit confused there because I've made several cards which I'm about to share with you, and I tried those and they didn't work particularly well with that colour scheme. The gold married the gold of that sort of married together with the background, but this is a different background. If you're lost by now, I totally understand. I'm kind of lost myself. So we're going with the clear ones. Something else on the floor for you, Ollie. I'm sticking one on there, and I'm sticking another one on there. Yeah, I think the clear works better with the darker colour. So the only thing left to do for that particular card is to just finish the envelope off. I can see my layered framing it down on the floor, so I think it's alright. Not so sure about the gem. Let's put those under there. So I've got a standard envelope, and I've got some crushed curry ink, and I've got some Blackberry Bliss. So I'm going back to the Floral Essence Suite, and I'm going to use this stamp. Now I'm not sure whether I want to stamp it off or use the full colour, so I'm just going to check that out on my grid paper. So that's the full colour. I think I'm going to go full colour. And all I'm going to do is, just to pretty the envelope up, I'm just going to stick a flower in the corner. And the flower, of course, does need a centre, albeit that this is going to have a yellow one and not a clear one, but it's called Poetic License or something. Creative License. Could even put black in there, couldn't you really? But it's an anniversary card, so let's go with something a bit brighter. So, I've got some fingerprints on there, so I'm going to do one more. How to get yourself out of a hole. 20 minutes. Yes. Talk amongst yourselves while I rectify my mistake. That'll do, won't it? Put the ink away before I can do any more damage. So we have our card and our envelope. So I have to say, I love this particular suite, and I love the fact that, I mean, I love my Big Shot and I love my frame knits, thin knits, etc. But sometimes it's just nice to work with something that's a little bit more simple, that you don't have to spend oodles of money getting. So having a stamp set that coordinates with a punch, you can get all these lovely floral effects without too much investment. So that is available. I've shut it up again, haven't I? Let me just see if I can find it again. There we go. So the stamp set and the punch are available as a bundle. So the whole lot as a bundle is £29.50. So it's not a huge investment to have something that you can really work with and create some very pretty projects with. So I've shared with you that one. Oh, that was the other thing I just wanted to mention. Again, I have used my layering oval frame knits for that, to get this, but there's absolutely no reason why you can't have something like this for your sentiment, and that is achieved by using the, I've written down as well, Timeless Label Punch. So again, all I've done with this, I've used Very Vanilla as my base card, and I've just cut out I've stamped on a piece of Very Vanilla with Floaty Flamingo, and I've then just cut it out using this. And in this instance I have, because there's no other layering, I've just raised this up using some Stampin Dimensionals. So again, that is, I've written this down, yes, it's £22. So again, you could just invest in that and have something that you've got to hand that will you'll be able to use to put various sentiments on your cards and give them that little bit of extra detail. So finally, you'll breathe a sigh of relief. I just wanted to share with you another couple of versions of this card that I've made. Now this one is a crushed curry base, and I've used the So Saffron Vellum at the back for the inside of the card, and then here I've got the same designer series paper design, and I've got the same 3x3 piece of the Very Vanilla cardstock that I've put the flowers on. But what I've done here is I've taken a piece of crushed curry, which was 2.5 by 5 3/4, and I've just run that through the Big Shot using the basket weave embossing folder. So that's not a specific card, that's just going to be a card that I've got to hand to write a note in, or if it turns out to be an anniversary that I've forgotten, I can put happy anniversary in the middle of it. So I wanted that one to just share with you. It would also make a really nice get well card. So a thinking of you card, all sorts of possibilities for that one. And finally, friends of ours are very soon to celebrate their 50th anniversary, so I've done a version of that card for them. So with this I've stamped off or stamped out the vellum using Versamark, and then I've put heat embossing powder of gold on all over that, and I've heat embossed it carefully because the vellum is quite a delicate paper, so I've kept the heat gun slightly higher than I would normally. But then when I've done that, I've just literally cut it out as I've shown you, and stuck the leaves down on the back as I shared with you earlier. This quite reasonably has got the gold faceted gems in the middle, and then it's the same happy anniversary stamp from the beautiful Bouquet stamp set, and then all I've added to that is the 50 years, and I've used that from the Share What You Love stamp set, which is a brilliant stamp set for letters and numbers. And again, that's just been heat embossed, and I've cut that out using this timeless label punch. And again, I've done the congratulations inside, and that is again has been heat embossed. And then we've got the petal pink vellum just in the middle of the card. And then I've put a 50 on the front of the envelope as well, and again that is heat embossed. I thought I'd go the extra mile as it was a special anniversary. So that is what I've made so far using this suite, and I'm sure we will be revisiting it very soon. But I want to share with you next time one of my particular favourites in the new catalogue, and it's this one, the Sail Away suite, which, if you love water in the seaside like I do, it's really appealing. But I also think it lends itself to perhaps the more masculine cards, which are often quite harder to sort of find or get ideas what to make. So these are just a couple of cards that I've got so far. This is one of the samples that we made up on stage, and so again we've used the another label punch to put the sentiment on. There's some fabulous embellishments with this one, ship's wheels and anchors, and this is a piece of watercolour paper that we've actually just added some ink to. So that was the idea they gave us on stage, and this is one that I've made. Some of my cards that went out with my new catalogues featured this suite, some featured the Bird Ballad suite. So this was one of the cards that I had ready to send out with my catalogues, but I kept this one back as I wanted to share it as my sample card. So we're going to be doing something similar to this in our next video. Finally, I promise I'm going. I just wanted to highlight the latest ideas from Stampin' Up, and this is this new 16-page little brochure called Experience Creativity, and this is designed particularly for people who are just discovering crafting, paper crafting, making cards or scrapbooking. So it was up there on my online shop, which will have the link on the front for on the front of the video. But it's a very easy way to start crafting, and I will talk about that in our next video because I think this one's gone on quite long enough. So I'll share some of the details. Yes, I'm getting a nod, yeah. I'll share some more details of that, but if you can't wait for that, then check it out on my online shop. So as normal, the blog link will be on there, the contact me link, the other links to my Facebook page, Pinterest, Instagram will all be on the front of the video. So it's just left me to say thank you ever so much for joining me. If you've enjoyed the video, please give me a thumbs up, and if you'd like to subscribe to my channel, that would be fabulous. All that means is that you will just get notified when I've uploaded a video, so there's no pressure, you can watch it or not. And yes, there is no charge to subscribe, but most people know that, my love. And you can also subscribe without charge to my blog. So from me, from my cameraman, and from Ollie, we will see you again very soon. Until then, take care. Bye.